I think he is a lot like Trump, not because of like their personal similarities as much as like the psychological effect they have on their
And that they're both paid off by Israel. Yeah, you heard it here. No, I hear what you're saying is that there's an obsession with him. I covered the inauguration with Kalshi.
Really?
Yeah, and let me tell you right now, that was one of the worst situations I've ever been in. Just the vibe there. If you are super into politics in a way where you're traveling over to DC, buying a $500 hotel room and staying the night to go to the inauguration in the middle of the snow, that's an obsession.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that the Mamdani side has that same level
100%.
of obsession. If you are attending any of this stuff, it's like a little bit like, you know.
I mean, did you see exactly like it's also like the way they attack and defend them.
Yeah.
Swifties do this too. It's like it's really it's like a cult leader status. And did you see that thing in the New York Times about how like Mamdani's campaign gave people like a social life? It's like the same way Trump rallies give people a social life. That's what this is about. It's about community, whatever the reason for finding it is.
Guys, I knew so many of the comics that were in that thing. It was the funny, like front page faces on it. It was very funny. And I'm like, that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of sense. The Mamdani monitor.
Oh my God.
Jewish or anti-Semitic?
It's neither. It's just like a Hillel Hashem.
Yeah, there is Hillel Hashem.
It's so stupid. It's like, first of all, look, to me, it's just like long list of things that they have. The ADL has discredited itself. I personally don't think that they are the organization. Like, I wouldn't quote them now.
No.
I would, in the past, have quoted their statistics and their, reports or whatever, but now I wouldn't. And that is a shame because they were a legitimate institution and now they're a joke.
My biggest issue with them was that the ADL was like the most Jewish organization of all time. It was known as like and the best part about that was that they helped other religions.
Yes.
That if you had a keffiyeh on, if you had a Muslim hair covering, if you had a cross, if you needed to take off this day for a holiday, whatever, and your religious workplace issues were a problem, the ADL would show up and they would help you. And they, during the Trump administration, gutted those initiatives completely and continue to gut it. They only do Jewish stuff now.
Jewish stuff. It's
and that's the thing is that
like it's Jewish to allow let Elon get away with a Roman salute.
That's crazy. It's also crazy to release the Mamdani monitor after ignoring that stuff, and especially also ignoring the fact that Johnathan Greenblatt is the president. What is CEO president? What's his?
He's the head of the ADL.
Head of the ADL. Yeah. Very good friends with Jared Kushner. Famously, these are both very wealthy nepo kids around the same age who know each other and hung in the same circles. During the Trump administration, this went from an apolitical organization to a very hard right-leaning organization, just in vibe. And then it slowly, over time, the vibe started to the rules or the infrastructure started to match the vibe. And the biggest problem with the ADL is that they are one of the most vital organizations when it comes to Jewish safety. Because on the regional level, if I'm a synagogue, I always bring this up, if I'm a synagogue in the middle of Kentucky and a Klan rally shows up at my door, I call the ADL, they get me on the phone with the mayor, they give me security, I'm on CNN, I'm with the senator and all that stuff. That's what they are great for. And on the regional level, they do such good work. But then you have this fucking guy turning around and ruining the organization. The whole thing. He loves being on TV. The ADL should actually not have anyone that goes on TV almost. No. It should be like the only people that should go on TV as part of the ADL are the people that they represent in situations of chaos.
Yeah, or you have someone who is very not politicized. Like they have to, like the point of it is that it remains not politicized, but they can't do that. And Jared Kushner's friends, he also can't even keep his comments open. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, if you can't have your comments open because you have that's a relationship you've created with audiences, then you have a real problem and you shouldn't represent this organization. It's
like so accurate. In the beginning, it's like first Trump administration until now, as they started to gut this stuff and make it more just like Israel focused, October 7th happens. Johnathan Greenblatt made the more aggressive stance of really removing any nuance at all from the protests and how to deal with the protests. The issue with the protests was that overwhelmingly most protesters, totally fine, absolutely totally fine, legitimate issues that we had to bring up. And not all of them wanted to, bring the death to the Israelis and death to the Jews. Yeah. You would never know that if you were looking at the ADL's handling of what they were defining as problematic and not problematic. Yeah. And they added so much fucking tinder to an already explosive situation. On the college campuses, you had school administration and you had NYPD at certain places taking their marching orders, which maybe not the best choice of term, but they're taking the marching orders from the ADL on how to handle this and who to label what and who to label problematic. And once again, it got to another issue that we have with Mamdani here, where there were legitimate questions that should have been brought up. Right. From the river to the seas chant, I don't have an issue with, because most kids don't understand. They don't get it. And there's no whatever. The Intifada chant, that's an actual problem.
It's a historic thing.
It harkens back to an actual time. We weren't able to talk about the protest leaders and how the toxic environment and how the vibe shifted. We weren't able to have that conversation because Johnathan Greenblatt on the other side, like Mamdani situation, just labeled it all anti-Semitic.
The real problem is that the representation of Jewish people has been overshadowed by Israel and by Israel issues. And so people, obviously Israel and the Jews, like not necessarily like the government of Israel, but like Israel, the land, that country historically has a tie to the Jews, and people do not, and that's real. But this like idea, like you can't ask people to you can't ask the average person to understand like the nuances of these definitions of Zionism, different types of Zionism, what the Jewish connection is, like all this history. You can't expect that. But Greenblatt and others have made Jews synonymous with Israel, the government of today. And that has put all of us basically in jeopardy. And and that's really like where they went wrong, when they made it all about Israel and where you stand on Israel, because now the ADL cannot stand for anti-Semitism or for Jews. It can't stand for Jews. It can only stand for Israel.
Yeah.
People don't trust it.
There's also an issue where it's not even Israel. It's like the Bibi side, like the pro-war side.
That's the other piece.
It's like it's not, because
it's Israel, the current majority.
Yeah. Is it even the majority? Is it the guy who's in charge of the foreign ministry dollars?
It's literally like the current coalition.
Yeah.
Current majority coalition.
Which is bound to break. I mean,
which is a plurality.
Yeah. Which is so fucking stupid. Can you imagine if being in politics and you were running for office and like, I think I heard this on the Ezra Klein show described as this. Imagine if you lost, but then you also got to stay around. Because that's what the Knesset is. The Knesset is full of organizations and full of like different blocks of people who couldn't get the main block, but then they just were like, well, you get to stay here. And that's how like Mayor Kahana exists. Oh my God. Stuff like that.
You're right.
Makes complete sense.
They have a total mess over there. I can't.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I actually think that the way to punish the Palestinians would be to make them
them
do census.
Hey, you want to see how great it is?
Yeah. You guys do it. Let's have 400 different Hamas members running for their own, government out there.
Right. And also like trying to deal with like any government bureaucratic office in that country. Then I'm like, oh, you think they're organized? Like, I don't understand how they get away with stuff like the Hezbollah pager thing when like you can't even like get a passport photo.
Oh, good luck getting an X-ray in the middle of the week there.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just we're off today.
Israel starts to become like the vibe. This is the way that I've interpreted this always, has been that Israel's foreign ministry, like every other fucking foreign ministry, obviously pays influencers and stuff like that. Like it just is what America does that, Qatar does that, Ireland does it. They all do. There's all money set aside for tourism and whatever.
Yes.
This money went towards very specific pro-Bibi, very right-wing, aggressively toxic, anti-Palestinian people, because Bibi was controlling that money. The issue is that same vibe and toxic group of people seemingly were like in cahoots with the ADL so frequently. They were at the same fundraisers. They were speaking at the same events. I'm pretty sure Zach Sage Fox hosted the ADL fundraiser last year. So it's like there was this weird, like if the ADL is supposed to remain pragmatic, like law scholars doing justice and remaining apolitical, then you had the most political entity of all time, Bibi's government, Bibi's foreign ministry government, who's paying off for some version of propaganda that everyone does.
Yeah.
And that was what was also influencing these things.
Yeah.
And it just was like too many. But what I'm saying that is that this same group of people who were so bad at mushing up the Israel messaging, who did such a bad job of fighting misinformation, all that billions of dollars that went into the ADL, if I hear another fucking person ask me to donate money to an internet task force or a misinformation, whatever, it goes into the wind. It's just farted into the breeze. It doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
That same
no one
group
even
of
knows
people,
like what they should even be thinking of doing.